Steve here. It's the show where I answer your questions, and this week my first question comes from the Nightmare Rider, who says, do you think that sometimes feminism and social justice advocates have a bit of a translation problem, getting lost in language that is less commonly understood by general audiences? Do you think we, as feminists and social justice advocates, can do more to help people less experienced with the subject discuss the topic in a more nuanced way? Short answer, yes. Long answer, oh, hell yes. And even longer answer to follow. It's a little bit analogous to being a science communicator, I would think. Scientists speak to each other very differently than they speak to lay people. And I think that attitude is something that it would do us a great deal of good to adapt as social justice advocates when we are talking to people who are not as informed on these issues and these topics as a lot of us are. And of course, I keep saying us and we, there are folks who are so much better informed and more articulate and well-versed in these issues than I am. So I certainly don't want to hold myself up as some kind of standard to be emulated. But I do think, when you talk about things like patriarchy, like intersectionality, like privilege, like marginalization, and these are very basic topics within social justice activism. But they're topics that not everybody who isn't involved will automatically know what they are. And I think when outside people ask questions and try to sort of come in, we need to know how to talk to people in ways that won't be off-putting and won't be alienating. I think that sort of thing is very important, and it connects up very well with the question that was asked last week about what are some things about feminism that I disagree with or that I don't like, and the main thing that I could come up with was we need to be better, or feminists in general need to be better at connecting with people, at showing people why women's equality activism is important and is relevant to everybody. And the same thing with any social justice movement, not just talking to ourselves and not just speaking a language only other social justice advocates can understand, but explaining in a very easy to understand way why these issues matter and should matter to everybody. This next one is from Engaroward Shirase. Hey Steve, given the lurch to the right and the big hate these last few years toward people of non-standard gender identity, how do you see ways that we can assist those of our friends who are vulnerable from attack, both physically and through laws and mentally? I've already offered donations to the ACLU. Is there anything else I can do? I'm also worried about those of us who have mental health issues, LGBTIQ spectrum or not. Is there something that we can do to help lessen the impact that we will take in the coming years? The U.S. has been notoriously bad in treating mental health over the years. Do you have any suggestions of organizations we can help and donate to help? Yeah, well, the ACLU is a good one. You mentioned that one already. I Googled some charities that I think are relevant to what you're talking about. There's also, of course, there's the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is just excellent. Planned Parenthood, obviously, is going to need a lot of help. The Trevor Project, which is a great charity focused on LGBTQ needs. True Colors Fund, which deals with youth homelessness, which disproportionately affects LGBTQ youth. There's also Lambda Legal, which is an awesome legal defense organization focused on LGBTQ issues. And then as far as just sort of general mental health, I would recommend checking into an organization called the Treatment Advocacy Center, which has been recognized for the last couple of years as being one of the organizations that has had the most positive impact on mental health treatment and mental health issues in the United States. It seems to be a really, really good organization. I'm only just sort of making myself familiar with it now, but it seems like a good place to sort of focus your support if you really care about mental health issues and mental health care in this country, and you want to try to sort of vote with your dollar and do whatever you can to support. And obviously, of course, I mean, you can say this about almost any issue, but keep in touch with your congressperson, keep in touch with your senator, keep in touch with your state representatives. And whenever issues related to mental health come up, Write them, call them, go to town meetings. Let them know that this is an issue that you think is important and that you want to see more funding and more support for mental health care. You want to see expanded mental health care services. You want to see greater access. You want to see more affordability. You want more doctors. You want more counselors. You want programs to lower the stigma of mental illness among people. I mean, these are issues that if we can make our voices heard, we can hopefully make a difference. But it's something that, our politicians, our representatives need to be pushed on, because they have been quite happy over the last 40 years or so to cut mental health care funding to the bone in this country. And it has been a disaster. It's been an incredible burden, both on our society as a whole and, of course, particularly on people who struggle with mental health issues. So support these charities and charities like them, and push your representatives in government to do the right thing and to support and expand access to mental health care. Funky Daniel UK. Steve, MTV were in the news for their resolutions for white guys video recently. Due to the negative reaction it got, they took it down. How do you feel about the video and the reaction to it? I did not watch the video. I did not get a chance to see it. I saw people both defending it and complaining about it, and my impression was that it was yet another case of certain folks within the larger white community just being babies about it, just being incredibly oversensitive and showing a real double standard about how much they are willing to generalize and sort of preach to non-white folks about what they need to be doing versus how much of that they will accept directed at white folks. And look, I am a white person. I am very willing to acknowledge that I benefit greatly from white privilege. Like I say, I can't speak to that particular MTV video, but the idea of speaking to white folks and letting us know where, in general, we are failing, where we need to do better, things we need to be more mindful of, I have no problem with that at all. That's incredibly necessary. And I appreciate it when I hear that from people of color. When people of color point out commonly observed behaviors of white folks or commonly held attitudes among white folks. And I recognize that as something I do or something I've said or something I've thought. I'm grateful for that. I re-examine that. I think, whoa, should I stop doing that? I do that. And I understand why that's a bad thing now, and I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm grateful for that, because I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to contribute to the marginalization and the oppression of other people. I want to do better. So I appreciate it. And it's a shame that more white folks, or at least the white folks who pissed and moaned and cried like a bunch of babies over that MTV video, didn't feel that way too. Dr. Babylon. Steve, do you believe in gaydar? Do you believe you have gaydar? How do you define gaydar? If you say yes, then how do you think gaydar works? I'm surprised by the amount of people who believe in gaydar. I don't think gaydar exists, period, so I resolve never to assume anyone's sexuality one way or the other, and especially never to rule out the possibility someone might be bisexual. What do you think?
The password is gaydar.
I don't believe that it's a thing. I don't think that gaydar exists. If it does, I certainly don't have it. I will say there have been times in the past where I have sort of successfully guessed another person's sexuality based on, just looking at them or talking to them without them saying I'm gay. But I don't consider that gaydar. I think that was just me jumping to a conclusion based on stereotypes about gay people. And that's not a good thing. I don't think that's something I should do. I think that's best avoided, as you say in your question. I think it's generally very bad practice to think that you can tell someone's sexuality based on superficial signs, based on their look or their voice or how they act or whatever. I just think that's best avoided. But I do have friends who are gay who do sort of claim that they can tell, and I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's just an intuitive thing, if being gay themselves, they've just known lots more gay people, and they can just get a sense of whether or not a person is gay just by watching them, or if they're just full of shit and they think that they can tell if someone's gay or not, and really they're no better at it than anybody else. I don't know. I personally don't believe in it, and I think it's probably a good thing that I don't have it and that I don't think that I have it. Becca Hawkins. Hi, Steve. What do you think causes anti-feminism in some people? It seems easy for me, for example, to explain the anti-feminism of someone like Matt Slick of that Christian Apologetics and Research Ministry website, as his anti-feminism is informed by the patriarchal texts of the Bible and his own religion, and possibly also by his own personality. But when it comes to anti-feminist atheists, it's harder for me to explain. My main thought here is that cultural patriarchy goes beyond the boundaries of religion and even influences some people who don't care for religion. The idea that men are rational and women are not, even if one doesn't subscribe to that explicitly, is so pervasive that it can find its way into the presuppositions of anyone, really, including some of those who imagine themselves to be so rational that they can beautifully destroy Steve Shives, apparently. What do you think? Well, religion did not come before misogyny. Misogyny came first. Religion has what we bring to it. And we bring all sorts of things to our religion, and one of the things we bring to our religion is our male supremacy, is our misogyny, our mistrust of women, our denigration of women, our denial of women's value and women's ability to achieve, and women's right to equality. That's all stuff that we as a culture bring to religion. So that stuff pre-existed. And I really do believe that misogyny and sexism are some of the most deeply rooted bigotries in us. I think sexism in many ways is a sort of the equivalent of like a gateway drug to prejudice. When a lot of these anti-feminists on YouTube branch out and start commenting on other issues, it turns out that not only are they sexists, but they're also racist as well. And they deny their racism in the same way as they deny their sexism. The thing about atheists is we tell ourselves that we're more rational and we are more clear thinking because we have seen through the religious stuff, because we have been able to figure out that religion isn't actually true, and we can explain why we reject all these arguments and why these various claims aren't to be believed. We think we're smarter than other people because we figured that out, and we become so convinced of our own rationality and of the infallibility of our own rationality that when someone says to us, hey, you're being kind of sexist, hey, your attitude toward rape is kind of shitty, a lot of us, unfortunately, sort of default to defensive mode. We do the same thing that religious people do when their faith is challenged. We do the same thing that creationists do when faced with evidence for evolution, and we start looking for reasons why whatever that is doesn't count. And why, no, we're not sexist. We start with the assumption, of course, we're not sexist. We're enlightened people. We're intelligent, enlightened people. We're not sexist. So whatever that person said that is the reason why we're supposedly doing something sexist, oh, well, here's why that's wrong. That can't be true because of this and this and this and this. We do it backwards. We start with the assumption, the rock-solid, immovable, undeniable assumption that we aren't sexist. It's not our problem. It's that other person's problem. And we go from there. And that is absolutely toxic. And the sort of thinking that we would never tolerate from a religious person defending their faith. But so many atheists do that very same thing when they are defending their own sexism, their own misogyny, and unfortunately also their own racism. David Edwards, could people's vitriol against certain movements, feminism, SJWs, etc., be based more on fandom than thoughtful opinion? People want to be part of the cool kids, be with it or edgy, and glom onto the opinions of celebrities without thinking for themselves. Has our worship of celebrity, even on YouTube, caused us to stop forming our own opinions? I think you're really onto something there. Yeah, I think that accounts for a lot of it. I don't think that can necessarily explain the big ringleaders of the anti-feminist, anti-social justice movements, but it does account for their followers. It does account for why so many people will watch a video made by one of these dipshits and then just flock to the video or the Twitter feed or whatever of the person that they were attacking in their latest video, and just comment completely irrelevant shit that in some cases is just verbatim quotes from something they heard in the video or something they saw that person tweet. It's thoughtless reactions. It's, oh, here's what my favorite person said. Here's what I think my favorite person wants me to do. Here's the person that my favorite person doesn't like or thinks is wrong or thinks is a fool or whatever. Let me go after them because that's what I think the big cheese wants me to do. I think that's a lot of it. I think you're really onto something there. Joe McClory, looking back at the last 8 years of Obama's presidency, and particularly the first 2 years, I can't help but wonder how things might have turned out if the Democrats had gone with another tactic. It seems to me that while they had both houses of Congress, they presented most of the legislation in a state that was already including compromises to conservative sensibilities. Do you think that if they had started with by asking for more than even right-leaning Democrats would have been able to vote for, and then letting the Republican Congress members save face by dulling the liberal agenda through compromise, that when the backlash against Obama gained strength, it would have pulled the Republican Party less far right? Yeah, I think there's probably something to that. I mean, obviously, I don't know for sure, and I'm certainly no expert on the subject, but I do agree with people who feel that way specifically about the Affordable Care Act, that if the Democrats had come to the table with a much more progressive proposal, we would have ended up with a much more progressive law. But then again, I don't know. I think the Republican opposition to Obama was so strong and so determined and so blind and so based on nothing other than resentment and a lot of racism that I don't think they would have worked with Obama or been any less hostile to him or come any further toward the center or toward the left than they had, no matter what tactic Obama had done. I think they were determined to do that from the moment that Obama was elected to his first term. And I don't think that was based in anything real. I think that was based in anger and resentment and prejudice. And hopefully, anger and resentment and prejudice will be qualities that will not be found in the next couple minutes of the video, which is a little something that I like to call
The lightning round.
Corey Donaldson, would you ever consume a beer float? Yeah, I mean, I've never had one, but I would probably try it. What if you made one with like a nice chocolate stout, or like a coffee stout, like a good coffee beer? I bet that would be, actually, I think a beer float with like a good coffee beer, that'd be really good. I would totally try that. Oh, Hoyerno, question, can I buy you a beer? Yeah, buy me like a good coffee stout. There's something I want to try. Piker Eyes, have you thought about doing an Atheist Reads series on the books of prominent atheists where you treat them in a similar fashion that you do to the apologist books you've read? I've thought about it. I don't know if I'm ever going to do it. I mean, the problem is that the atheists that I would do that with are people that I'm already somewhat familiar with, and I just know I would hate. Matt Machado, hello, Steve. Eyes Misty, Matt's dog. Will you give me your food, please? Oh, God, it's bad enough that I got a cat always begging me for food. Now I've got people's dogs. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to turn you away. Come on over. I'll feed you. I mean, I don't have any dog food, but I'll find something. Come on over, Misty. I'll feed you. Does Matt not feed you? I'll feed you. I know it's a dog thing. I'll feed you. Lucas Hackett, Cartoon Carnage Wrestling. Hey, is it absolutely true that hot sauce goes great with everything, or am I just dreaming and we're just actually living in purgatory? Hot sauce does go great with everything, provided you don't mind everything tasting like hot sauce. If you like the taste of hot sauce and you want everything to taste like that, then yeah, absolutely. Hot sauce goes great with everything. Joshua Purvis, how are you? My question is, what do you think of the new Spider-Man Homecoming movie? Do you think it's going to be good or no? And what about the Justice League? Thanks, Steve. I enjoy the podcast. It's entertaining. Well, thank you, Joshua, and I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Spider-Man Homecoming, just based on the trailer, looks really cool. Looks great. I'm looking forward to it. I really want to see it. Justice League, I think, looks awful, and I'm not going to see it. But Spider-Man seems really cool. I hope the Spider-Man movie is good because I am really looking forward to that. Brian Gibson, what do you think of the fact that Trump has scheduled 6 different prayer leaders for his inauguration, 2 of whom are prosperity gospel hucksters? Is it just a way to sanctify himself and his fetishizing of his own wealth as the definition of a successful life? Yeah, that's probably it. And also, I mean, Trump himself is a hollow, gaudy, tawdry fraud. If Trump was going to throw himself into one particular version of Christianity, obviously that would be it. Because they're doing his act, just in a religious way. Dynacat loves me, so I take it you didn't like Paxton's movie Frailty? One of my faves. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to say, I did not like Frailty. I saw it expecting to like it because it got good reviews for the most part, and I just didn't see what was so great about it. I don't remember thinking it was terrible, but I didn't think it was great, and I didn't think Paxton was very good in it. Kevin Logan, who would win in a fight, the Democrats in Congress or Franklin Roosevelt? And I'm not talking about Roosevelt back then. I'm wondering if they even have more fight in them than the corpse of FDR. Yeah, I mean, sadly, I think I would have to bet on FDR. If that was a fight that was going down and I was going to put money on it, I'd have to go with FDR. I think the fetid bones of FDR have more fight in them than most of the Democrats that are currently in office, I'm sad to say. There are a few exceptions, as we've seen during the confirmation hearings the last couple of weeks, but for the most part, I mean, where you been, guys? Where you been? Der Wunderbar Bar, if you were stranded between galaxies with only a deck of cards, what game would you play? I mean, I would probably play Free Cell. That's a good game. You can just play, I mean, I could play Free Cell like endlessly. Or maybe like Klondike Solitaire, something like that. I would definitely not play, whatever game I did play, I would definitely not play Canfield, because Canfield is a game I only play when I am stuck between the moon and New York City. Babylon thought, hey Steve, if you could round up and kill every anti-SJW vlogger on YouTube, would you do it? No, of course not. I wouldn't want to kill anybody. If I had the power, I would ban all their channels. That's a no-brainer. If it were within my power to ban all of their YouTube channels, that I would do that in a heartbeat. Not because they disagree with me about something, which is sort of the common line. You know, SJWs, they can't stand disagreement. They just want to block everybody for disagreeing with them. No, it's because you're abusive assholes and you perpetuate bigotry and intolerance. And I don't think that YouTube should host you and enable you to do that. So if it were up to me, you would be history. It's as simple as that. Bruce Bardup, Steve, if every feminist followed your example and regularly and routinely blocked trolls and time wasters, and if they all shared lists of blockees, and if they implemented that list in prospect, as it were, preventing any significant trolling, and if every new feminist was signed up to that scheme, etc., then we'd have the YouTube we want, wouldn't we? I guess we would have a better system than we have. I do think, I mean, if YouTube's blocking system was better and was easier to use and enabled you to share block lists in the way that that you can on Twitter, or subscribe to block lists, or use block bots, I think that would definitely help. You know, and if the blocking function actually cut people completely off from you, so they were just gone. Like once you block somebody, it's like they don't even exist and you don't exist to them. I mean, there are certain tweaks that YouTube could make to its blocking feature to make it, you know, to make it shareable and to make it more concrete and definite. That would be a big improvement. But the major improvement that needs to happen isn't so much giving people more options to block, but YouTube itself to take action and to remove abusive people, to just ban abusive people. That's the ultimate solution to the problem. But yes, what you suggest would be a big improvement. That's it for the lightning round. That's it for the question. Before I go, it's time for the shout out. And the shout out this week is a very special one. As some of you may have guessed, I mentioned it at the end of my Martin Luther King Day video a few days ago. And I'm going to mention it again because it is tomorrow, as you are watching this video. If you're watching it on Friday when the video was first uploaded, tomorrow, January 21st, is the Women's March on Washington. I am going. If you are in the area and you can possibly make it, I urge you to join us in Washington, D.C., on the National Mall for the Women's March on Washington. It starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. The rally is at Independence Avenue and 3rd Street Southwest, which is up at the Capitol end of the National Mall. And if you can make it, I would love for you to join us. Hopefully there's going to be a massive turnout. They're expecting hundreds of thousands of people, and every little bit helps. If this turnout, I would love for the turnout to dwarf the turnout to Trump's inauguration today. That's what I would really love, for the Women's March to be a much more massive happening than Trump's inauguration. And if you can't make it to D.C., if you're just not in the area, you can't afford it, it's too late for you to make the trip, go to womensmarch.com, because they have a list of local sister marches. There may be a march within your area that you can go to. And if you can go to one of those, I think that would be an awesome thing. I know there are big ones happening like in LA and San Francisco and other sort of big cities around the country. And there may be a local one happening near you. And it's something that you can really take part in. And I would urge you to do so. The Women's March is going to be a wonderful event. It's going to be a big deal. I'm going to be incredibly proud to be there and stand alongside my sisters and my brothers and my siblings, no matter what their gender identity. It's going to be a wonderful thing, and I hope to see some of you there. I know I'm meeting a few friends there I know for a fact, and it's just going to be tremendous. It's going to be a wonderful day and a powerful day, and I'm really excited about it. So take part in the Women's March. That's the shout out. Take part in the Women's March on Washington, or wherever you happen to be where they're having a sister march. Do it. Be a part of history. Make your voice heard. Stand up and be counted. Women's March. That's the shout out. I also want to tell you, as I always do at this time, that you should be listening to the Lemme Listen family of podcasts. These are podcasts that are created and for the most part hosted or co-hosted by my very good friend Jason Harding, aka Jason with a D, the puppet master of Opinionville. The Lemme Listen podcasts include Lemme Finish, which is co-hosted by Jason, and Finite Atticus, which is the original Lemme Listen podcast. There's also American Monsters and How to Destroy Them, which is an awesome improv comedy podcast. There's Filmtastic Voyage, which is hosted by Mike and Alex. There is Cinetific, which is the movie science podcast, hosted by Professor Aaron and Professor Jason. And actually, their Armageddon episode is coming up, so you should watch for that and check that out. Now, we just did Armageddon a couple weeks ago on late seating, and now they're doing Armageddon looking at the science on Cinetific. That is going to be awesome. I definitely think you should look for that. And of course, last but not least, Late Seating, the movie review podcast that Jason hosts with me, where we look at classic films that have a certain reputation of either being really good or really bad. We give them a fresh review. We make fun of them. We review them. We decide whether or not they deserve the reputation that they have, whether that reputation is as a great film or a terrible film. And this week, we have a brand new episode of Late Seating going up, and the subject is the classic 1963 political thriller by John Frankenheimer, starring Frank Sinatra and Angela Lansbury in her Oscar-nominated turn. And that is, of course, The Manchurian Candidate. You can check out our review of The Manchurian Candidate and all of the past episodes of Late Seating, and in fact, all of the episodes of all of the awesome Lemme Listen podcasts by going to lemmelistenpodcast.com. I wish you would. I don't think you'll be sorry. That's it for me, everybody. I am out of here once again for another week. Thank you so much for watching. I want to remind you to leave a comment on this video to ask me your question for next time. Ask me anything about anything. Nothing is too serious. Nothing is too silly. I will answer as many of these questions as I possibly can in the next video. So leave your question down below. In order for me to do this, you have to ask. So please do ask me your questions. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Hey folks, one more thing before I go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it worth watching. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And also please consider helping me to make more videos like this one by supporting this channel through Patreon. you can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron, support this channel, and you get some cool rewards like some extra videos, some perks. You can look at scripts for certain videos. You get a shout out in the Facepalm 5 if you pledge $5 a month or more. There's lots of cool stuff that you can get extra if you join the Patreon campaign. So consider that, patreon.com/Steve Shives. Thanks for like the third or fourth time for watching. I'll see you later.